Hello, everyone. So my name is Jake Sharp, also known as Lil Reg Pack, but you can call me Reg Pack or asshole or whatever the fuck you want to call me. It's whatever. So today I have a special video for you. A little bit about myself first, though. I am a recording artist and audio engineer from Northern Kentucky. Um, I've been doing this about 8, 9, maybe 10 years or so. And today I'm going to show you how to get a clean, beautiful sounding vocal recording for hip hop music, rage music, really any type of music that you make. I'll show you how to get a clean vocal recording. And really, you could do this with drums and anything else, but you'll be using different plugins. But this is basically how to get a clean recording in FL Studio. So, first off, you will go to any mixer. So right here I'm at 35. Now, all right, so say you've never used FL before, and you're at like this screen. You click up here, go to the mixer, and then you'll pick any mixer. So, you got 1 through, I think it's 99 or 199. It's a lot of mixers. So you just pick one, 35. Then you go up here in the right hand. Whichever input that your mic is plugged into, assuming you have an audio interface, which I highly suggest if you're going to be recording audio, you have an audio interface. But anyways, whichever input your mic is plugged into, you click that one. So I click input 1. Now, you will notice that when you're talking into your mic, you'll see your voice moving on the mixer. You'll also be able to hear it. So here you'll notice, this is one thing I want you to notice, is that this mixer, and all mixers for that matter, are all sending to the master. So what you'll do is you will take this mixer and you will take it off the master and then send it right here. See these little arrows at the bottom? To the next mixer over. So here, I'm going to do it. And now you can hear me again. Now the reason for this is that if I take this off, you couldn't hear me right there when I was talking. And the reason for that is because this mixer is no longer sending to the master track, which is where you hear all of the audio. So now my recording mixer is sending to the next track over. And now this track is where we will put all of our plugins. All right, now let's go ahead and label our track. So we'll call this one record. And we'll call this one vocals. Real simple. Now let's start it off. So first thing you want to do is you want to get your EQs right. Your EQs and your compression right. So, and I'm going to show you, by the way, I'm going to show you how to do this with only stock plugins. And the reason that I'm showing you with only stock plugins is because a lot of there's this stigma that you can't get beautiful vocals, good mixed vocals with only stock plugins. And this is a complete misconception because no matter what a plugin does, an EQ is an EQ. A compressor is a compressor. There is nothing different between a $1,000 compressor and a stock FL Studio compressor. You might have a little bit more options, but at the end of the day, the result is going to sound the same as long as you play with your knobs and play with your settings. So first, we're going to start with Fruity Parametric EQ. Everyone knows this plugin. Now, before you go messing with any of this stuff, we're not going to do none of that. We're just going to go to the presets, 40 hertz, 18 kilohertz cut. Bang. Now we're going to cut that back. Now with your vocals, you want to leave a little bit of bass. But what I do is I just cut out all of the sub bass and just a tiny bit off the end of the bass. I'd say about 145 hertz. It's going to be different for everybody and everybody's voice, but this is what I do. And then I just pull this one out. I don't want to cut out much treble. Just a super high treble, but I keep all the treble pretty much. Cut out a lot of the low bass, and you'll be good. All right, so next we are going to start compressing our vocals. So a lot of people will tell you, oh, you need this fucking $100 compressor, this fucking 300, whatever, however expensive it is. You do not need that. Fruity Limiter is one of the best plugins ever made. You click on Fruity Limiter. Ignore all of these settings. You can even turn this ceiling up. If your voice is really loud and you see it starting to get cut off like that, then just turn your ceiling all the way up, because you don't want this ceiling working at all. The ceiling does not sound good. Now, click over here on compressor. You got limiter, you got compressor. Click on compressor. Bang. All right, so here I'm going to enlarge this so you can see it a little better. Now, once you start messing with this compressor, you got 3 knobs. You got threshold, you got knee, and you got ratio. Now, your threshold controls how much of the vocal you are going to be compressing. So, for this first compressor, I'm going to compress half of my vocals. So, you put it right there in the middle of your vocals, and you'll notice this little blue line up here. That's basically what the compressor is acting on, essentially. So, now you'll notice that nothing is happening. All you see is this blue line, and you see this blue line, and there's these blue lines in the waveform, and you see this blue line going through. Nothing's happening right now. So you have your knee and your ratio. Your ratio controls how much the selected section of your voice that you are compressing is being compressed. So once you move this, you'll start seeing your voice duck a little bit. Look at the top. You see those lines going down? That's how much your voice is being ducked. Now, for this first compressor, I usually do about 2 to 3. I think for this one, I'm going to do 2.2. So you'll notice that my voice sounds more flat or more regulated, like each word is the same volume instead of being small differences in volume. And now this is what you want to do to achieve a crisp, clean voice over a beat, and to keep like certain words from being too loud or certain words from being too quiet, essentially. All right. So moving on. Now that we have EQ'd our bass out of our voice and started with a simple compressor on our voice, we'll move on to another EQ. This is one thing that you have to note about FL, and I feel like this is the main reason that people talk down on FL, is they don't realize that you don't use just one EQ on FL Studio. Like on other DAWs, you can probably use like one EQ maybe, because it might be a more complex EQ, but you can achieve the same complexity with just 2 or 3 EQs, and all you have to do is, it's just a little bit more work. I mean, you can still, and it's not even a lot of work. Here, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna get a clean voice. Now here, all you got to do is, remove some more of that bass. And for my voice, I like to take some of the low mids out, and I like to increase the treble. And you'll notice that as I increase the treble, it might get a little crisper. You might hear a little bit more noise in there. Now, I don't want it that much. Let's go like to there. Bang. Now you'll notice that my voice sounds a lot cleaner already. So I'm kind of not liking this higher sound. I think it might be in here. And this is the thing about EQing. Like, there's no set way to EQ. You kind of just got to play it by ear. Mainly what I do, I usually do about the same thing with my voice every single time I record. So, my bad, my girlfriend's in the back eating chips. So you just take, where was I at? Okay, you just want to mess with the way you're EQing your voice. Like, you never want to do it just one set way. I mean, I do it kind of a similar way every time, but I always mess with it because the volume that you have your mic, the ambience in the room, the volume of the beat, the way the beat sounds, the just different things like that are going to affect the way that you're EQing your voice. So, just get it set up like this or something similar, and you can play with it from there. All right, so after we got that EQ set up, now we want to do another compressor. So go back to the Fruity Limiter again. Click on compressor. Now this time, we're not going to be setting the compressor to half of our voice. We're going to want to just get the very tips of our vocals. So let's go to about there. And then a ratio of, and usually what I do is, before we were doing just a ratio 2 to 3, this time I want to compress the very tips of my voice a lot. And this is to further regulate my voice to make it more clean, more all one volume rather than a bunch of different volume words, if that makes sense. So you want to go compression ratio. I usually go about 9 to 10 to 11, somewhere in there. So I'm going to go to, let's do 9.8. So now we have it set at 9.8. And if you listen to my voice, you'll notice that it's pretty much fully regulated to the point where there's almost no words that are quieter or louder than the others. Like, even when I talk a little louder, like, it's still the same volume. All right, so now if your voice is sounding a little quiet after you do this, you can take your gain and you can turn it up. And it kind of increases the overall volume of it, but it keeps the same compression. So now you'll hear my voice is loud, fully regulated across the board. There's no words that are too quiet, no words that are too loud. And it's sounding already pretty crisp, pretty clean. Now, you don't have to do what I'm about to do, but this is what I do. So I'll usually take this Maximus plugin, and I'll go to the presets, and I'll go to either this warmness or warmness 2. I'm going to use warmness 2 for this one. And you'll notice that my voice has a lot more mids in it now. So what you can do is you can take the mids and you just drop them down. Drop them down to about there. And you can hear my computer in the background because I got my mic turned super loud, but just for the sake of this tutorial, I have my mic turned super loud so you can really hear me super clear. So once you put your Maximus down, now this is just what I do. I put a Maximus down, and then I put another EQ down, and now you want to mess with this EQ, and these are very minute changes, guys. You're not going to want to turn your EQ. You're not going to want to turn these bands all the way up or all the way down. You just want to stick to small, minute changes. So remove a lot of the bass out of your voice. For this Maximus, it adds a lot of mid to my voice, so I pull some mid out, and I add a little bit more treble back. And I'm listening back to me talk right now, and it sounds really good. It sounds really clean, really clear. At least to me, if you don't feel the same, go ahead and leave in the comments how shitty I am, how I'm doing everything wrong. Go ahead and leave it in the comments. But to me right now, this is sounding really clean. So next, now that you have that, let's say you're an auto-tune singer, right? And you use auto-tune, and or you're a rapper and you use auto-tune or whatever. So you want to put some auto-tune in your voice. Now, this is the only non-stock plugin I use, and that's Antara. That's Antara's Auto-Tune. One thing to note is that Antara's is not free. I bought mine, but I'm not going to show you how to do this, but you can get Antara's Auto-Tune for free. So, you add your Auto-Tune. Now, for my Auto-Tune, it adds a little latency. So I click this low latency button. Now, you don't really have to worry about that, depending on what auto-tune you're using, depending on your computer, et cetera, et cetera. So I click my low latency button, and there you go. Now, once you have the auto-tune on your voice, you can just, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to keep mine muted until I start using it. So I got the auto-tune on my voice. Now, after I got the auto-tune on my voice, now I want to add some reverb to it to make it sound like more full, more like I'm in a big room, etc. You know, reverb just sounds nice. It just sounds nice no matter what. So as long as you don't overdo the reverb, it'll sound really good. So now for this, you never want to add reverb to the same mixer that you have all your plugins on. So you want to make a reverb send. So what I'll do is I'll go to the next track over and we'll call it reverb. And then we'll add a reverb too. Now there's no reverb on my voice now. So what you'll notice about reverb is you have 3 sliders over here. You got dry, you got early reflection, and you got wet. So dry is simply the input of your voice. So if I was to send my voice to this mixer, you would be able to hear my voice twice, and it would be a lot louder. So instead, we will take the dry knob and we'll turn it all the way down, the wet all the way up, early reflection all the way up. Now this is just for the sake of the video. You can mess with all of these settings. I would recommend that you keep this dry all the way down, but mess with all of these settings. So now that I have that set to basically where I usually set it, I'll send it over to this next mixer. And you'll notice that there's way too much reverb on my voice. So what you'll do is you won't go in here to the reverb and mess with any of this to turn down the reverb. Instead, since we have it sent to another mixer, you can legit just take it and turn it down. So now that we got it turned down to a decent level, it's sounding pretty good. Now we can turn our auto tune back on, and I'll hit a note or two, and I'll see how it's sounding. Let's do F minor. Okay, let's get it started. Okay, let's get it started. Ew, my voice ain't sounding good today, guys. Okay, let's get it started. On the floor is where my heart is. Go ahead and stop it. And you know, I'm not exactly in this singing mood right now, so my voice isn't sounding too great, but you can see how the auto-tune with my voice on it and the reverb, it's making my voice sound pretty decent for barely trying, you know what I mean? So you can add the reverb right back, and let's see, like, heartbroken in the summertime, it's the same lie, it's the same line. Kind of you to ask, yeah, not alright. I'm just fine. And I'm just messing around, guys. You know, this is just me freestyling off the top of my head, but this is basically what I do when I record. Is like I'll sit here and freestyle to myself, come up with ideas, and you know, with the effects on my voice, and this is how I usually come up with my songs. So now that we got all of this added onto our voice, we can start recording. So we turn on our auto-tune. We can pull up our beat. You know, I got this Titan beat that I got off a producer. Pretty sick beat, if you ask me. And he already told me it's C minor. So I can now record. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below. Leave a comment below. And I think that's what we'll end off. I'm gonna go ahead and start making this song, guys. Now that was just me freestyling off the top of my head, but I'm gonna go ahead and make this song. If you guys followed along with the video, leave a comment below. If you hated the video, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit that like, hit that dislike. Go ahead and hit that subscribe, whatever you need to do. I'm going to be making a lot more tutorials on FL Studio. This is my first one, so we'll get better from here. But yeah, I hope this helped you get a great, clean vocal recording on FL Studio. And now you know that you don't need Pro Tools. You don't need all these other DAWs to record clean vocals. I hope everyone has a great day, has a great night, and yeah. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.